Hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here from Podcast Answer Man, and in today's video, I want to share with you the evolution of my video gear. Now, I've been creating online video content going all the way back to late 2006, early 2007. Is there a red light now?
There's a red light.
I'll check it out. Well, hello everybody. Cliff Ravenscraft here.
Take two.
And this is take two. Hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here again with another video blog update, and I am presenting right now at PodCamp NYC. So hello everybody.
The .tv domain name is the home of web video. How do you get seen on .tv?
I get seen on .tv because I create content that has changed people's lives. It's not been a primary focus for me. As you guys know, I am the podcast answer man, and specifically, I am all about audio podcasting. But I've always found value in creating video online. But yeah, I've always wanted to consistently take my production value to the next level. And it's been a process. And today I want to share with you kind of a recent update to how things have been over the last couple of years. Now, I decided I wanted to start vlogging when my wife and I decided that we were going to build the house that we live in today. And back then, I purchased this camera right here. This is, by the way, it is a Sony CyberShot. I don't know exactly what model it is. It doesn't matter because it's no longer available today. And in fact, the reason why I got this exact camera is it's the same camera that Chris Perillo was using to do his daily vlogs. And the nice thing about this particular camera, and I bought it with this lens modified onto it. This is a super wide angle lens. And the reason why you wanted a super wide angle lens back when I got this was because, well, there is no articulating viewfinder. So when you're holding this up and saying, hey, everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here, you don't have any way of looking to see whether or not you're in the frame. You could be doing this, and it doesn't matter, because no matter what way you go, you're going to be in the frame. In fact, I wonder if I can still turn this thing on and show you guys the fact that there I am. See? I'm right there. I am in the frame, no matter what, up, down. I'm always going to be in the frame right at this distance, no problem at all, because this right here is a super wide angle lens. And yeah, so I actually did several vlog posts from this Sony CyberShot camera. I did get into photography for a while, some more professional style photography. This is a Canon 60D right here. I fell in love with this camera mostly due to the fact that I wanted to be able to create photographs that had bokeh, you know, that blurred out background. And I learned all about aperture and ISOs and all of this other stuff. And I spent probably at the time a total of about $1,800. And the nice thing is check this out. It has an articulating lens or viewfinder. So if I wanted to, I could vlog from this camera. Heavy camera, by the way. The only problem is, though, is this thing does not have very good focus for following you if you get out of focus. So if I wanted to have that more professional depth of field kind of videography that I was hoping to do with having a DSLR camera, the problem is that you'd have to set it, but if you move an inch forward or backwards or whatever, the problem is you're going to be out of focus here. This thing does not have auto or follow focus. Right after I purchased this, like a couple months after that, they came out with the Canon 70D. And guess what the Canon 70D had? Follow focus. But I had already spent a ton of cash on all of the stuff related to my DSLR, and I didn't actually buy this for video, so it was actually there for photography anyway, so I didn't feel all that out of place or put out about it. But it did kind of sting a little bit when I started to see all my friends get the next version of the camera, and they were using it for their videography, and well, I never did. Now here in the studio, by the way, I am actually using Canon HF G30 and G40 cameras. These are not SLR cameras, they're not photography cameras, they are entry-level prosumer video cameras. And so that's what I'm using here in the studio. That's what I'm using right now. But anyway, this was a very huge purchase for me. Wasn't good for video. Recently, I've been thinking I want to get back into some vlogging again, right? And then I went out and bought something like this. This is a Yunteng 1288 selfie stick. And I go out like this and say, hey, everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here. And it worked great. I mean, this is a super nice selfie stick. I mean, it's super long. I mean, it's woo, really, really long. And I love the selfie stick. The thing is this was working great for my Facebook Lives. It was working great for, a little vlogging here and there. No big deal. But over time, I started to think, hey, I know all my friends have these fancy gimbals, and they're able to do all kinds of nice stuff like stabilized images and things like that. So I recently decided to take my video production to, specifically vlogging and Facebook Live to a whole new level by buying this. This is the DJI Osmo mobile gimbal, and I can put the iPhone right in here, and now I just flip this thing on, and there it is. I'll hold it like this, and you can see that as I move this up and down, it is staying very, very steady. And this radically changed how everything looked when I was creating content for Facebook Live and YouTube videos and stuff like that. It just being able to hold it like this. And then all of a sudden, I started getting here, and I learned about time-lapse, and I went out and started doing time-lapse. And what I found is this camera in this phone, the iPhone 6 Plus, there are two problems that I had. Number one, the video quality isn't as compelling as what I've been watching on other people's vlogs. The other thing that I realized is that when you turn this thing on, I could no longer use the built-in microphone on the iPhone any longer. And the reason why is because there are motors in here. And while they're super quiet, they are vibrating very softly, and the microphone on the phone picks it up. So the next thing I needed to do is hook up a external microphone. I went out and got my Rode Smartlav Plus. Now, I've had this Rode Smartlav Plus for a very long time. I would just put that on my shirt. I'd plug that right into my unit here. This worked well. Now I'm able to do super stabilized video, but I don't have the vibrating motor in the audio anymore. So now I'm using the Rode Smartlav Plus microphone. Now, there were a couple times when I wanted to put this up on a tripod, and I want to sit back on my front porch and do a reflection from the front porch, which is the name that I've given to some of the live streams that I've been doing. And the problem is that this cable that comes with the Smartlav Plus was not long enough, so I went out and got an extension cable that would allow me to, of course, extend that out. I decided, okay, I don't like the idea of being tethered to a wired lav mic. So I decided to go out and purchase an external shotgun mic. Now, there are a ton of options, and I knew that there were cheaper options out there, but when I researched these over time, I knew that the Videomic Pro gave you the best audio quality. And so this thing's just over $200. I think it was like $220, $230. The only thing is, though, is you can't plug this into the iPhone because this is a TRRS jack and you need a TRRS. Rode makes a little adapter. You plug in your TRRS plug into that, and it gives you the TRRS jack that you can then plug into your phone. Now I have a shotgun microphone. But what do I do now, right? Osmo, the company that made the gimbal, has these attachments that you can get. You just attach it right here. And then next, you just plug this. And there you go. Now I had a Rode professional grade microphone, and I could vlog like this right here, no problem at all. Great audio, and I'm no longer tethered to a wired lav mic. I could sit this on the tripod, and I could be sitting on my front porch, and that shotgun mic is getting excellent audio quality for me. I mean, that's really not a bad setup. The only thing that I had that was a concern for me is the video quality of the iPhone just did not live up to what I desperately wanted for my video content. I mean, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, but the fact is that the front-facing camera is where I would be recording most of my content. And if I'm going to record from this front-facing camera doesn't even give me 720p video. All of a sudden, I'm like, okay, this is great, and I'm sure I'm still going to put this to good use, but I want something more. And that, my friends, is when I discovered the world's greatest vlogging camera up to this point. That, my friends, is the Canon M6 mirrorless camera. I've watched countless hours worth of content about this camera alone, the Canon EOS M6. And from what I have heard from multiple people, this is exactly the same internally. It does everything that the Canon 80D does. Not the 70D, the 80D. This is basically a Canon 80D inside a mirrorless body. What's nice about this thing is super light. Why is everyone calling this the perfect vlogging camera? Well, the one reason is because, first and foremost, it has an articulating screen that pops up so that you can see whether or not you're in frame. And it's got a pretty decent built-in microphone. But do you think an audio guy such as myself is going to deal with a built-in microphone? No, not at all. And that's why I'm glad that I didn't go cheap on my microphone for the other setup that I had. I'm glad that I got the Videomic Pro from Rode, and I'm going to go ahead and take off the adapter because this camera here, the M6, does come with the ability for you to put in external microphones. That is another feature that makes this a perfect vlogging camera. Now, I can plug in this Rode mic in there, but the problem is there is a hot shoe up here. But what I want to show you is that if you were to put your Videomic Pro or your other microphone on there, the one problem is if you wanted to be able to take advantage of seeing yourself, you can't. You can't actually see yourself because your mic is in the way. And so this is one big complaint that a lot of people had. I know the version before this, the one right before the M6, I think it was the M5, it actually flipped down, but then it actually got in the way of the tripod stands and everything. So they just can't win. I don't know why they don't just throw it off to the side. So this hot shoe is pretty much useless if you want to be able to use your screen, which of course for me, that is an absolute must. So then I went on the search for something that would allow me to hook up from the bottom, and then you can get there are all kinds of brackets out there that you can get. So I went and got this one. By the way, this only had one hole here when I purchased it, and I'm going to show you real quickly. I'm going to install this, and I'll explain to you why there is a second hole. I've installed this with it on the default hole that came in this bracket that I have. And I'm going to install my Rode Videomic Pro, and I am going to plug it in. There we go, and I turn it on, and by golly, this thing is ready to go right like that. All right, so it's still super light comparatively, and I can still put this on a selfie stick, no problem at all. I can install that on a selfie stick and have that out like that. Or I could be doing this. Hey everybody, Cliff Ravenscraft here. I could put this on a tripod, but this right here is perfect audio. All right, then I noticed that, hey, there's still a problem though. Battery compartment right down here. It's blocked, right? So you can't even open this thing with this hole right here. So what I did is I took this out. I drilled this other hole that you see right here, and then I can just screw that in here, put that onto the bottom of the camera, just like that. And now I can open this up. If I want to, I can take out the battery. I can take out the SD card. And by the way, the other thing is follow focus. This thing has amazing focus ability. And with this kit lens, it goes all the way to 15 millimeters, which is awesome. But I wanted something a little further away, so that's why I actually ended up buying this lens right here. Is an 11 to 22 millimeter lens. So I'm going to put it on here so that you can see it, and you guys will be able to see that I'm in frame. So even if I'm this close, now that's 11. If I go to 22 millimeters right there, but let me go to 15 millimeters. So there's 15 millimeters. That's not so bad. That is about as far away. That's about as wide as I can get it with the kit lens that came with it. But because here's the difference between where the kit lens will go, and I'm actually looking off to another monitor to see this, and there's the 11. So I'm able to even pull it in closer if I want, or I get more of the surroundings behind me. But an 11 to 22 lens is what I decided is what I'll be using for, selfie mode, if you will, for my vlogging. Now, I also wanted to be able to do shallow depth of field. That's one of the things I loved about the photography and the DSLR that I had, was the fact that I could do shallow depth of field. To get that, you really need what's called a fast lens that has a lower f-stop. And this is a Canon 22 millimeter lens, but the f-stop is 2 on it. It will blur out the background. And the other nice thing about this is it has automatic focus, and it will track your face for selfie mode, and you can have it track objects as well. But the thing is if you want to actually lock in the focus on something other than your face, you can do that just by tapping anywhere on this touch screen. So touching this will actually choose where it focuses. And if you don't have it chosen to a specific place, you can actually have it track your face by default, which is incredibly awesome. Now, that did not stop my spending spree, unfortunately. I did go out and buy also a Gorillapod. This is the first time out of all these years that I've ever had a Gorillapod, and I'm glad that I'm the type of guy who typically will go to the higher end on gear. And so I got the Gorillapod with this, it's called a focus ball mount or whatever, but it's got all of this different functionality on top of it, and it's got this special mounting bracket which I'd never heard of before. I've never seen it anywhere before. But I've got all of these different, I've got some really expensive tripods in my office. It seems like everything has a different mounting option. And so what I decided is I wanted to go ahead and put this right like this. Now, as soon as I put this on here, by the way, it does block the battery compartment door a little bit. But here's the thing. With this setup like this, and I'm going to really get that on there tight. With this setup right like this, I can still open up the battery compartment. I can still access my SD card, but I will not be able to take out the battery unless I take off this mount. Not a big deal. Being able to access the SD card is much more important to me. Now that I think about it, I wonder what it would be like if instead of mounting it on the camera, I mounted it right under the mic. Because technically speaking, this should work, and this would actually keep me from blocking the battery door. I just now thought of this. We're going to mount this onto the Gorillapod, pull up the level here. You can get this to any angle you want, no problem at all. So I bought a Gorillapod. And what I found is that, okay, there are some times where a Gorillapod is awesome, but what if I want to put the whole kit on my regular tripod? Well, my tripod has a different mounting bracket. And so I decided, oh my gosh, I have to take this mounting bracket off, put the other mounting bracket from the tripod on, and then put it in the tripod. But then I started to say, hey, I love this actual mounting. This is incredible. Whatever Joby is using here, this is super easy. It's easier than any other mounting brackets that I've ever seen before. And so I did some research, and I'm like, hey, what is this mounting bracket that people are using, or that they're using? And I found out it's called ARCA Swiss, and it's actually a standard. Just like Manfrotto has a standard, and there are several other standards out there. But ARCA Swiss is an actual standard for mounting, and a lot of companies out there are using it, including Joby. And you can get dirt cheap the mounting plates and the actual brackets themselves, and you can buy extras of those. You can convert all of your tripods over to it. In fact, that's the next thing that I did was I decided to go ahead and purchase a bunch of extra ARCA mounts and ARCA Swiss, ARCA. Anyway, I've purchased a bunch of those. Those will actually be coming here tomorrow, and I'm going to convert all of my tripods over. But anyway, super, super pleased with this. And one other thing, this thing has time-lapse mode in it, and I was using it just to see how well it did in time-lapse mode compared to the iPhone on the Osmo using the DJI app, which sometimes crashed on me, by the way. This won't crash on me. But yeah, my friends, I got to tell you, I am super stoked about this. Can't wait till my other mounts get in. I'll be able to go from the Gorillapod over to the tripod and back and forth just by using this mount. This is incredibly awesome. Future videos coming from me, most of it will be coming from that. Of course, I'll still be doing studio stuff like this with the Canon HFG 30s and 40s that I have here in the studio. But when I'm out mobile, anywhere outside of this seat, I will be using this. And sometimes in this seat, I will still be using this if I want to be able to pull off a shallow depth of field. I'll tell you what, I'll put links to a bunch of this stuff in the description below the video if you're interested in seeing any of this stuff for yourself. I look forward to creating some awesome video content in the coming weeks, months, and years ahead. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Some